You are listening to the Technical Foul Podcast for Monday, May. Damn, what date is it? I'm getting old.
May 14th.
May 14th, 2018. I am your host, Manny Fresh. What's good, everybody? Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. Hope all the ladies out there had a blessed and safe and happy Mother's Day. Well, I guess all the men who, play mothers too, I guess. We can qualify in that.
If never mind, I'm not even going to say it.
If you are playing the role of mother, by all means, happy Mother's Day to you, man. No doubt. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
I was going to come out the gate being problematic, but
Nah, let that be, man.
No, matter of fact, fuck it, if y'all women can out there be claiming Father's Day and shit when you're a single mom, then it's school dads and all that, you can claim Mother's Day too.
True. I was also talking about the sexual orientation flavor, but hey, leave that.
That ain't none of my business.
Hey, it ain't none of our business either. Happy Mother's Day to you if it applies to you as well. Whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat, my nigga, do you. But anyway, man, for real though, happy Mother's Day to all the ladies, men, ladies, men, whatever. Happy Mother's Day to everybody that applies out there, man, for real. Hope you guys had a great day yesterday. So yeah, man, what's good with you, man?
Just chilling, you know what I'm saying? Just, the house is finally coming together, like.
I see the pictures, man. I see the pictures, yeah.
I'm happy, dog, like. That means I'll be able to have my driveway back so we can get the storage unit out of there. Like, it's the little shit that make you happy when you get old, dog. Like, you know how hard it is when you're trying to have company and you only got, like, one space in your driveway and we don't have two sides of the street. Like, we only got that little space there. So if you got more than two people coming to the crib in two separate cars, you gotta get creative. Yeah,
I feel you, man. I feel you. I'm in the same boat now. I'm trying to get some central AC. So I'm like, bruh, because that's the one.
Do that here too, bro.
Yeah, man. The crazy thing is it gets hotter for y'all than it does here. I mean, here it doesn't get too hot. Like, it never gets like crazy hot, like where it's like, oh man, like unbearable. But when it does, it's like we ain't got no AC, bro. So it's like,
we just got the window joints in our bedroom, but we gotta keep them on. Because before we got solar, like, it was cool. Like, the house could be hot during the day, but we got the dog now, so like it can't be hot. You know what I'm saying, for him, and especially because he's a short nosed breed dog. Like. They don't eat too well because they don't breathe as well as other dogs, so we gotta keep it cool for him. So we usually have two like AC windows like in the guest room and in our bedroom, and we just leave the doors open and shit in our bedrooms, and it keeps the upstairs pretty cool actually.
Oh, word?
But we try to get central air so we can have like the whole house. Like, all we gotta do is really get the unit and just get it installed, like, because we already have the system, like the ductwork and all that. But I think that's on the list for this summer now that we got like all the floors and shit done. So
it's definitely on the list for me, man. Because I'm like, man, if it's anything like it was yesterday, man, I was like, man, this is too much. I don't know if I could do this for a whole summer.
I mean, it's nice today, but it's been cold past couple of days here. But I mean, no surprise. I was looking at time hopping. You were here this time last year, and it was fucking cold and rainy.
Yeah, it was terrible. Like, I was like, man, I was mad. I was mad when I went to Boston last year and the weather was like that, man. Remember that Sunday? It was like the last Sunday I was there. It was like we had a windstorm. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this, man? I was like, man, what is this? Like, my brother said the same thing. My brother was like, yo, what is good with this town, yo? Like, what is this cold? And then, of course, like, as soon as I leave, like, the day I leave, the next day, it's nice and warm and nice out. Like, oh, like, come on, baby.
Nice too. Yeah, that's how it be, bro.
Yeah, it'd be like that. But anyway, man, let's get to this news, man. Big news that just broke today. Sports gambling is now legal. Well, not kind of, sort of. We'll get into it. But anyway, Supreme Court ruled today, I think in 6-3, to do away with the federal government's basically involvement in banning sports betting or whatever. So, I mean, they still leave it up to individual states to kind of choose what their mandate's going to be. But for the most part, so you got states like New Jersey that are already, already planning. They ain't even wasting no time. And in a few weeks, they'll basically allow gambling across the board. So, I have my thoughts on it, but what's your thoughts on it to start off?
I mean, this is my thing. I really don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm not a big I don't bet, because I'm cheap. So
true, me too, man.
I'm way too cheap, and sports are way too unpredictable. And listen, I get stressed out enough watching my team play. I'm not about to be stressed out watching some niggas that I don't care about because I got money on the line. Like, exactly. I just can't. Yeah. And I also think that gambling is a very slippery slope in general because, and really the extent of my gambling is like playing the slots in Vegas. Like, that's literally all I do. Maybe I play card games, but that's a big, usually not. But this is the thing. The gambling thing, it can, on a personal level, like, it can really get out of control. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you start accruing debt, and then the fact that when it was quote-unquote illegal, you know, you start borrowing money from questionable characters, and that puts your health at risk, your safety at risk, and you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a bad deal. I feel the same way as I feel about, like, legalization of drugs. Like, and I know they're two different things. Just hear me out. Like, if there's the involvement from the federal level saying, hey, y'all can do what you want to do, at least it's sanctioned. Whereas there's not a lot of shit going underground that makes it, quote-unquote, more dangerous. You know what I mean? That's the same way I feel about drugs. You know, at least it can be a little bit more regulated, you know, from a safety standpoint. And, you know, if someone were to need help, you know, I would imagine as a part of the deal from the federal government that states have to provide, or they'll provide, you know, adequate resources for gambling addiction, because there are programs out there. I'm not sure the extent of it, but I'm sure that that side of the coin will get bolstered as well. But I mean, if you want to gamble your money on sports, go ahead, bro. But if that means you're getting it from a reputable place, like you're gambling with a casino or a off-track keeper or something like that, you ain't put money into the mob's hands, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm okay with it, bro. Like, I never saw the big like attraction with gambling. Like, yeah, I'm going to put money on this team to win, or, you know, if they score X amount of points, you know, like I don't know, dog, because, for instance, we're going to talk about this later. What if you put money on the Celtics losing to the Cavs by X amount of points, right?
Right.
If one of these niggas don't show up and they don't hit the spread, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
And then what happens? You lose money, so you gamble again so that you can make your money back, and then you lose again. Damn, boom. Like, you're in a hole.
It just constantly feels like you're playing catch-up. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, couple that, if you're in with some questionable lenders, you know, you might end up with questionable kneecaps. And
yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you completely. Look, I'm kind of in the same, well, a couple ways you can.
Hold on, let me. Do you think that this will affect sports?
I do, and I was getting to that. Yeah, I do. I think the biggest thing is that I don't think this kind of affects the normal Joe Blow, per se. I mean, I think it does in a sense. Like, yeah, it's gambling is now legalized, or sports gambling is legalized. So, you know, it affects me, you, the normal Joe Blow. If we have now, obviously, again, before we say that, it's on the federal level. So basically what the federal government basically just did was, you know, basically left it up to the states. Kind of like how marijuana, kind of like in a lot of different situations where they're basically, the federal government will no longer, well, not really the marijuana is a bad example because it's still federally illegal to have marijuana, or at least in certain aspects. I'm not trying to get too technical with the laws, but basically with the sports legalization situation is they basically said, you know, we're done with it. We're done trying to streamline it. We'll leave it up to the states. So if New Jersey wants to legalize gambling, we'll let New Jersey do it. If New York doesn't, then that's New York's option. If Maine wants to, so on and so forth. So it's still so it still depends on what state you live in, whether or not your state will actually allow it. And a lot of states are kind of still, I believe there's actually, so now Vegas is the only one that's legalized. A couple other states are going through the process of voting it passed. I know New Jersey just passed it. I don't remember if it was this last election or beforehand, but I know New Jersey has legalized gambling now. And a couple other states, I think West Virginia is one of them. A couple other states that are also looking into passing it in some way, shape, or form. So I would bet in the next, by the next, if not by 2020, but definitely by 2024, you will see more states that not have some sort of gambling restriction or a lift on gambling restrictions, should I say. As far as the impact on sports, I think that it will definitely impact sports in a lot of ways, because now this is, and that's a positive and a negative. I think it'll impact it in the sense that now there's just another stream of money to be made. Like, because now, I mean, the first thing I was researching before we went on the show. I was, watching Outside the Lines. I was watching a couple outlets on this issue, and the NBA, and I think Adam Silver did an interview a couple weeks ago on that horrible show that Get Up or whatever, Wake Up, whatever the hell it's called, that ESPN has, one of the number of their horrible shows. But anyway,
yeah, they're pretty bad.
So he had an interview there with Mike Greenberg, Jalen Rose, or whatever, and he was talking about the whole gambling situation and eventually being legalized, and the NBA is already out in front saying that like they're working with the local communities and the states to basically, the leagues are going to want to get in on the action, but their issue is the intellectual property situation, and now that gets into a whole nother can of worms. It's like, well, we're providing the content, we should get a cut of it. It's like if I'm holding, cockfights at my house, and Vegas is making money off the bets that are placed on the cockfighting in my house, I want to get a piece of that because I'm providing the content. And that's just, basic, entrepreneurial, basic capitalism, basically. And there's going to be a lot of pushback on that because, obviously, when it's money to be made, a lot of people are going to want to have their hands in a cookie jar, and then there's going to be somebody slapping the hands away saying, no. So there's going to be some fight. I don't think it's going to be a big fight, but I think there will be a fight, nonetheless. And then you also have the aspects of the players' union, because then the players' union are also going to say, well, hold on a second, now we need our cut because we are the product.
True.
The league provides the product, but we are the product. So then you have that can of worms. So I think it's going to impact sports in a very big way. It's more money to be made, and you know what happens with more money. It's just, I think it creates more from a human standpoint. I'm like you. I don't care. I don't bet. I don't gamble. So it doesn't really affect me from any real, one way or another, any real level. But I know people that gamble heavily and they're fucking excited about this shit. So, so I think people are going to be excited about this initially. We'll see how, and then you also got to take a look at how this affects, other areas, the taxes involved and all this other stuff that's going to go into, all the other things that go into stuff like this. So I think it's interesting. I mean, I know some people that'll just be like, I don't care, I don't gamble, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They don't follow it as closely as maybe we and you do because, we obviously do a podcast. So some people will just be like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, whatever. And then other people will care because they gamble, and other people are in the middle. And I think me and you are kind of in the middle. Like, I don't gamble, but I'm interested to see how this plays effect on the sports world. And then also, I mean, let's not the can of worms, the elephant in the room, whatever analogy you want to use, how does this impact, players? How does this impact individuals that get hooked on this gambling situation? Now they have, and I think that's the biggest concern. I know that's baseball's biggest concern. I mean, obviously baseball's had a tortured history with gambling. But, this is now another vice. This is now another variable that you're adding into the equation with athletes and getting caught up. I think the biggest worry people have is, what's going to happen, game 7 of the NBA finals and a guy's got bets on, so I don't know. I've never really bought that per se. Like, I've never really bought that. Like, I think it's very, very few the cases that you've seen. I mean, obviously, most famously Pete Rose, but I don't really buy that it's going to be a lot of that. Like, I don't all of a sudden think that like half of the Minnesota Vikings are going to be fucking throwing games and shit. Cause you know what I mean? Like, I don't buy it that way, but I mean, it is a real threat, and it is something that I think people really have to consider when they're talking about this.
I think it's just whether or not they are throwing games. I think that if a player has a bad game, I think it's going to open up that dialogue, and I think it's just going to weigh over people, and it's going to give the talking heads more shit to talk to bring up. oh, LeBron shot 3 for. I feel like I'm picking on LeBron, but like, you know what I mean, like.
But especially the NBA. But especially the NBA though.
Like JR, like say like a guy like JR, who's not like a media darling, you know, a player on that long line. And say they come out and they shoot 3 for 15 or 3 for 7, and you know they brick some shots, and they're like, oh man, is somebody on the take? Are they doing this? It's going to be something that, you know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, if a guy has a bad game, they can't just have a bad game now if it's legal.
Yeah, I agree, and especially in the NBA, a league that everybody always accuses the NBA, kind of tongue in cheek in a way, but for the most part, people always accuse the NBA of being rigged and fixed anyway.
Yeah,
so
and
now
I mean,
you
all the leagues though, the NBA definitely looks like it is.
Well, yeah,
because some of the officiating is just so bad,
and the fact that basically 2 teams have more than half of the championships in the entire sport. So it's in 70 years, the Lakers and the Celtics have 16 and 17 championships apiece. So you do the math. So yeah, I mean it's. I think it's interesting. I really do. I think it's big. And I think it's something that's ever evolving, and I don't think we'll really see the full ramifications of it until we finally see these states pass it. I think we see it go into effect, and I know in New Jersey, they're already making plans about it in the next few weeks or so. So I would say by this time, I'd say by the time the NFL season starts, that's when you really, because the NFL is, everybody knows it's a gambling bonanza. So I think that by the time the NFL season starts, I think you'll start seeing some headway, on this new era, I guess, of sports. But like I said, it doesn't really affect me because, like I said, I don't gamble. I'm like you, so I just can't do it. Sports is too unpredictable, man. And even, even though I do a podcast, I'm no expert, so I can't sit here. I'm just giving you my opinion. Like, I don't know if the Celtics are going to beat the Cavs in game 2 by a spread of over under of 9. I don't know that. Like, I guess maybe it looks like it. Yeah. And the people that think that they are experts, they're not experts. They're just watching the games just like me and you. So yeah, man.
Yeah, so. That's how it goes. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to end up being a huge deal. I think it's for people that are more, sports purists and things like that. I think that's going to kind of affect them a little bit more in what they think or say about what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think it's going to be such a big deal. I think I think the biggest issue that we're going to see with the slippery slope is exactly what you said about how the pie is going to get divided up because people are going to want their cut for the intellectual property. The players are the ones that are, getting they're the one that are providing the product. The owners, in a way do as well, but it's kind of a two-headed snake with the players and the owners because it's a codependent relationship. The players need the owners and the owners need the players. And the players' money, the owner's revenue stream is the players and what the players do on the court. And so that circle basically completes itself. So now we're adding another, cog in the wheel kind of sort of. So how everyone's going to get paid is really going to dictate what happens, I think. I think that's going to be the big thing. But that's just like most things. If you want to find the root of something, if you want to find out how it works or you want to find out where it went wrong, you look for the money.
Yeah, word. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's how it's really going to affect it. The average Joe is not going to be really affected by it one way or another. If you gamble, obviously this is a great day for you, but, for the rest of us, yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
It's going to affect like FanDuel and all that shit.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. It's
still going to be up to the states because FanDuel, I think, was held at the state level.
Yeah, because New York outlawed.
Alabama didn't allow it.
Yeah, New York didn't allow FanDuel, or New York has really stringent laws on gambling. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I really believe that this is going to be very interesting from a sports world level. From the average fan, I think if you gamble, you're obviously you love it. If you don't gamble, you don't care. If you're just strictly against all gambling in general, you're obviously not going to like this. So, so I don't think from that perspective is going to be a big deal. I just think from the sports world perspective, and as far as the leagues and how they handle things, and I really believe, I wouldn't be surprised if on the next collective bargaining agreement for all the sports. I mean, I know MLB is just coming up in 2021. The NFL, I believe, if not around the same time, if not probably a year or two after that. So yeah, I think by the time the next CBA are signed for all these leagues, there will definitely be something in there about the gambling and who gets a cut and what. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
I hope that at least it gives me something to get people. Nothing makes me happier in sports than seeing people get worked up over shit and like outraged. I love that. That shit.
It's like the whole. You can't put a team in Vegas. You can't put a team in Las Vegas. And blah, 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 blah.
Man, if that shit could make me run like fucking gasoline, it would.
Yeah.
Because I love that shit. Yeah. I love that shit.
Yeah. And this is the thing. And here's the thing. Like, I think maybe in 1970, I think, yeah, they were right. Probably a team in Vegas is not a good thing. But in 2018, with social media, with camera phones, with that, I mean, if you're an athlete, you can't, there's no way to hide. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's a lot of family attractions in Vegas, you know what I'm saying? Like, and cost of living is relatively inexpensive there, too. So,
I'm still not convinced that pro sports in Vegas are going to work, but that's just me. Because it's just
the hockey team's working.
Yeah, but I mean, they also loaded up that damn teams. I mean, they basically made sure that team was good. I didn't think they ever thought that they would be this good, where they're basically a couple games away from being in a fucking Stanley Cup. But that being said, yeah, I mean,
we'll come out to watch though. I mean, you could be like the Marlins.
Yeah, I mean,
it was good. Nobody came.
I still think in towns like that, transient towns like that, it's the same thing with Miami, man. First of all, half of Miami.
There's a lot of locals in Vegas that come from other towns.
There is
that move there or whatever. Like, I think it's a little bit different than like Florida. People in Florida don't give a fuck about anything, dog. Like,
yeah,
there's other shit to do. Like,
but there's shit to do in Vegas now.
There is and there's not for locals, and I think they did a good job of marketing it to locals, saying, hey, you know, instead of going to do this, which I'm sure you're probably already tired of, why don't you come out to our hockey games?
Yeah.
Like,
I get it.
I think that's something that they really push towards locals, and I think that it's something that it is a relatively new form of success for a town where, you know, doesn't have a historical market of, you know, successful teams or any teams, or even people that, like, want to go to a game, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's a little bit different than those towns, but I think if you build the team the right way, it's the age-old adage, like, if you build it, they will come. And I think it starts with the product, too. You know, part of the reason that, you know, and again, I don't really want to use Miami as an example because it's a little bit different. I think Florida sports are kind of an outlier in themselves because even when, like, the Heat were winning, like, there would be empty seats at the American Airlines Arena or whatever. And
everybody knows Miami is a bad sports town.
All that money for the new stadium, and it's pretty much empty all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think that's just the way that it is. I think the Raiders will do well. Football's king anyway, so I think where they're really going to make their money is, especially with football, you can do this, is, you know, people making a long weekend out of going to Vegas, and they'll say, hey, you know, I'm a Raiders fan, because, you know, Raiders have one of the biggest fan bases anywhere in the league. You know, they're probably top 5. You know, someone makes a long weekend out of going to Vegas to watch the Raiders play, and I think they'll make a lot of money off of that.
I disagree. I wouldn't say I disagree, but I'm still on the fence. I'm still waiting to see. I don't think it's a good move for the Raiders. I know we're getting on track a little bit, but I don't think it's a good move for the Raiders. I think that only works for a little while, and I think the novelty of that wears off. And then I mean,
I've been to Vegas a lot of times. And not just like doing touristy shit. Like, my ex is from Vegas. You know, I've been out there for weeks on end. Mm-hmm. The local market there is different than the tourist market there. Like, there's parts of towns that tourists don't even go to, but those places that are there are still thriving. And I think that's what kind of separates Vegas, because it's going to sound fucked up, but let me say this in a way that's not fucked up. So a lot of people that live in Vegas, I just had a way in my head to reword this so it doesn't sound as fucked up. But jokingly, like, I'll say it. But what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people, if you look at the demographics from Vegas, are people from, like, the LA area or other parts of California, you know, that happen to be of a certain nationality or a certain heritage. And they're almost always 100% of the time Raiders fans.
Yeah.
So I think if there's another team, I don't think it would work out. But I think because it's the Raiders and you have so many people from Southern California that are, you know, California is Raiders country. Like, the only other team that, you know, maybe comes closer are the 49ers. But all up and down that state, it's Raiders fan. That's Raider country. So that team moving and it being, you know, a lot of people that are from that area originally, and it's such a short drive from Southern California in and itself, you can take a regular weekend and go to Vegas and be back for work on Monday. You know, I think that that's going to change the way that we look at it from a proximity purpose, and that's why I think that it's different from places like Miami, and Jacksonville and Tampa for other sport, and you know Bucks don't get no fucking attendance. I think that's a Florida thing, but I mean if football works in Louisiana, which is a football state from the college level and things like that, I do understand that. But I think with those different little caveats of the demographics there, I think that they'll be okay there, and I think the NFL wants to make sure that it's going to happen well there. So I think we got to take that into consideration too. That the NFL is going to make sure that the shit works out.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we should be more concerned with football back in Los Angeles more so than football in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid argument. Valid argument. I didn't mean to get into this whole Vegas thing working. I mean, I don't know. I'm still reserving my judgment on the whole Vegas experiment. But be that as it may, yeah, the whole sports betting thing. I mean, like I said, we have to wait and see how this all plays out. But I think it's a big day, and I think it's a big news story that I think we're going to have to watch as the months and weeks and months and years goes by to see how this really affects our sports leagues. Because again, the locals, the me and you, it won't affect us too much. Whether the only way it affects us is whether you're for gambling and you love gambling. This is a great day. If you're kind of like us, you don't care. And then if you're like very against gambling, I don't know too many people that are just like, oh my God, gambling is, then I guess you just hate this day. So yeah, but let's move on, man. Man, your boys last night or yesterday, I should say, smashed the fucking Cavs. Smashed them. What was the final score? Like 108 to 83 or something like that?
83, yeah.
Yeah, 25-point victory in game one. LeBron James held to 15 points. Just total domination from the opening tip. I know the Cavs cut it to 14 there late in the third, going into the fourth, but just really, really wasn't in question the entire game. I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I just watched the highlights of it because I was doing Mother's Day stuff. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that level of a beatdown in game one. So you are the resident Celtics fan, so I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game, and there's not a lot bad that I have to say about this game. Like, I try to keep it pretty even, and I do try to take like the fanhood out of it when I'm talking about shit. But first of all, as a fan, that was fucking fantastic to watch. Nothing is better. There's not many things when you're watching your team to be more happy about than your team firing on all cylinders and just continually making plays. Like, anybody watching execution as a sports fan should be happy, especially when it's your team. But to watch them come out, and it's nothing new, honestly. Like, the way that Brad Stevens has this team prepared, to watch them come out and play like that is not surprising. But the way the score ended up being, that was a little bit of a surprise. I expected the Cavs to be kind of bad because of the way that the Celtics play defense. They swarm to the ball. They switch a lot because they're very fluid on defense. Brad Stevens plays this like positionless basketball almost, except for Aaron Baines, who is a 5 and he's okay at best. But the rest of the guys switch on pick and rolls, and they swarm to the ball, and they can do a lot. And I think you and I talked about it before, is that the real key to this series is not about what LeBron does. LeBron's going to do what LeBron's going to do. I mean, He didn't do that yesterday.
Yesterday, notwithstanding, yeah, of course.
But for the most part, in a vacuum, LeBron's going to get his. But what you have to worry about is Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood. These guys have to show up. They have to.
Yeah.
There's no... LeBron's not out there scoring 50 every night.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that I feel like LeBron checked out yesterday a little bit, but there were some things that really had me concerned about him. And I know last week that I was really talking, I was singing LeBron's praises for the most part because he did play well against the Raptors. Last night or the other night,
it doesn't really count. It doesn't really count though. He always plays. I think I'm at the point now where I think that I think LeBron at 39 with one leg and a bad back and a broken hip can still play well against the Raptors. I mean, that's really, I'm at the point now with LeBron and the Raptors. Like, he just fucking owns that squad.
I saw LeBron passing out, and yesterday he was way too passive. The games where he needed to double down and get his team a bucket, that's the difference between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he should go out there and chuck it. I'm not saying that at all. But and I know I said the opposite of this last week when I was talking about making the smart play. Sometimes making the smart play is you taking the game into your hands. And they were already down by 20. They were pretty much down by 20 or 30 the whole game. I think they might have come within, I think the smallest lead at any given time, I think was still double digits, probably like 12 or 15.
Yeah, it was 14. It was 14. They cut it to 14.
I knew it was something, still double digits. However, I see LeBron getting to the bucket and passing out. Just playing very passive. And I'm like, dude, you're LeBron James. You are the most physically gifted athlete in the NBA right now. Maybe in history.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't use your physical talents to get to the rim and dunk on someone, to draw a foul, to do something. And I just don't think that he was into it. And I think that's a head scratcher for Cavaliers fans, and I think for basketball fans too.
Well, he always has this. He always has these moments. I think LeBron is a guy that he plays the long game, and I think he plays a game and he sees like, okay, look, they're just smashing us. They're hitting us on all levels. Let's live to fight another day. He's always been that type of guy. That's the kind of the vibe I've taken from him. But I mean, he does have these moments where he checks out. He does have these moments where he doesn't play his best, or he'll have a bad game. And then look, guys are going to always have bad games. I mean, this idea that LeBron's the only one that has, even me, the hater in me, knows that guys are going to. Jordan had bad games in the playoffs. Kobe had bad games in the playoffs. I mean, the greats always have bad games. But it's just the way that he has them. It's just a level of just disinterest, a level of just kind of like, okay, I guess they won this game. Let's just prep for game 2. Like, it's just I don't know. It's just a bad look. I don't know what it is. I feel you. I catch up on.
The whole team yesterday, Kevin Love was getting bitched. Kevin Love started off the game okay. The part where shit changed when Jaylen Brown blocked that shot of his.
Yeah. Yeah.
After that, it just
I think this series is going to come down to matchups. I really do. I think this is a bad matchup for the Cavs. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that
the Celtics are too athletic.
I think they're too explosive, too athletic. And the one thing that I like about the Celtics, I'm not going to sit there and say that this is what they are fully going forward. But the thing I love about the Celtics, this young Celtic core, is that, and this team as a whole, is that I think great teams are chameleons in the sense that, you look at the Warriors, and the Warriors took a long time to prove that to me, but they've established that. The Warriors can play any way you want to play. You want to play an up-tempo, 120 to 119 type of game, the Warriors can play that. They love playing that. Hey, by all means, we'll do that. But if the Warriors have to bear down and win an 89, a 91-89 game, the Warriors can do that too. Now, obviously, they prefer to score 120 points, but they can do that. And I think the Celtics team, and I think the Celtics team are slowly. I'm not sitting there saying that they're already have this gene, but I think they're slowly developing that. Hey, we can play any way you want to play. You want to play up tempo, shoot a lot of threes, go up and down the floor, win 108 to 100. We can do that. And if you want to bear down and be a tough, gritty, muck it up, defensive type of team or, defensive oriented type of team and win a 90 to 78 type of game, we can play that game too. So I think the Celtics are starting to learn that. I mean, I think this is a matchup problem. I really do. I don't want to read too much into game one. I think that's the dangerous thing to do, especially against LeBron.
I'm optimistically cautious at this point.
Yeah, I think it's hard to read too much into one game, because it's a 7-game series and there's a lot that can change in just one game. And obviously, the turn of events in one game can lead to another game. I mean, every game is different and the sport changes like that. I get that. So I don't want to read too much into one loss, one defeat. But if you're a Cavs fan, I would be very concerned about game one. I
think the way that they lost last night, I think that should at least cause a couple of eyebrows to be raised, just with the ease of how the Celtics were able to get open shots. Now, I don't think we're going to continually knock down all these shots, but I mean, they have all playoffs. Like, Tatum has been hooping all playoffs. Jaylen Brown, probably besides Al Horford, has been the Celtics' best player down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They struggled when Jaylen Brown was out. We won, but, this team is so much more dynamic when he is in the lineup.
I'll say this. I was going to say, I'll say this. The Cavs better get game 2.
They have to. They have to, dog. They have to. I'm not usually a big fan of saying, hey, this is a must-win game, this is a must-win game. For momentum's sake, they have to win game 2. They have to come out and make a statement. This is the football equivalent of a team coming out and punching you in the face. Like, your team just get mauled on the offensive line or the defensive line. They just push you around. No matter what the Cavaliers tried to do, the Celtics had an answer for that. And I think that's a lot of preparation, too. But, I mean, just look at – there was a point in time where, going down towards the end of the game, LeBron tried to back Marcus Smart down. And Marcus Smart came around the other side and picked the ball clean from LeBron.
Yeah.
That's will. Like, these guys don't go down without a fight. You know what I mean? Like, for all intents and purposes, they swept Philadelphia. The game that they lost against Philly had some very questionable calls. They lost, but the method in which you lose or win has something to do with a lot of things. And just the way that they were able to execute. And I was a little worried about, like, Tristan Thompson against Al Horford and things like that. But, I mean, Al Horford is looking more athletic than I've ever seen him in his career. And when the Celtics play small, they're running all over these guys. And I don't know if the Cavaliers have the production to keep up. And LeBron's going to have to.
I don't know if the Cavaliers have the coaching to keep up. I mean, Ty Lue is notorious for not making adjustments at all. So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, look, I will say this about Ty Lue. He's done a better job coaching in this postseason than I've seen him do, even the year that they won the championship. Like, his moves that he made in Game 7 against Indiana, I thought they were very smart moves. Some of the moves he made against the Raptors were good moves. So I will give him his due, but I think this matchup as far as coaching is David versus Goliath to me, because I think Brad Stevens is the best coach in the NBA, and Ty Lue is let's just say he's not Red Auerbach. So
I just it does come down to coaching a lot in the playoffs. LeBron needs Kevin Love. LeBron needs Kevin Love to have himself a game. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, it has to happen. You know what I mean? And they can't look scared out there, and they looked scared. So, I don't know.
We'll see.
As a fan,
well, I will.
I'm happy as hell.
Well, I will say this: they definitely got to get game 2. I don't think they can. Even, and I know it's crazy saying this because it's LeBron James and it's all. I get that, but I don't think this incarnation of the Cavaliers can go down 0-2. Even if they're going back home, I just think the Celtics are playing with so much momentum, with so much zest and zeal, whatever you want to use, whatever word you want to use to describe it. They're just, and I think this Celtics team, they're feeling it. And I'm a big, you know me, I'm a big proponent of momentum. And when teams start getting on these rolls, they start getting on these magic carpet rides. Sometimes it's hard to get those motherfuckers off those magic carpets. Like, when they start feeling themselves, like they really start feeling themselves, I'm a big believer in momentum. And I think that the Cavaliers, to me, to have a chance in this series, they're going to have to win game 2. They have to steal game 2. I mean, obviously you always want to steal a game on the road, but this is their game. If they don't, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah. And it has to be, you got to look at the way that they're playing too. So, I don't know, dog. I didn't expect the Cavaliers to come out so flat, to be perfectly honest with you. I think we got to temper, I think a lot of people, myself included, have to temper expectations because when we saw the Cavaliers playing the Pacers, they looked bad. But then they played the Raptors and they looked great. And I think I think we don't realize that, it was the Raptors. Like, I think that series was more about the Raptors. What'd you say?
I think it was more about the Raptors. I really do. I think it's more about the Raptors.
I think that this team is the Cleveland Cavaliers that we saw against the Indianapolis Pacers. I think that's the same. I think that's the same team. That's what we see. I think when you have a team with athletic guards that aren't scared, you know what I mean? And I think Indiana lost that series more than Cleveland won it, but a win is a win, like I said before. But I'm having a hard time seeing, now that I've actually watched the Celtics progress and played two teams with two different styles in Milwaukee and Philadelphia, I'm having a hard time seeing how Cleveland matches up with them, except for LeBron. LeBron is the X factor here, which it should be. Yeah. But,
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Game 2 is tomorrow night. The draft lottery is also tomorrow night, so we'll see.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about it too. But yeah, the draft lottery is tomorrow night. And then obviously it's followed by game 2. So it's going to be very interesting. We touched on the Barneys, as I like to call them. For now, matter of fact, on this show we will not refer to the Raptors as they are currently named. We will refer to them as the Toronto Barneys. That's what they are called now on this show. So speaking of that team from Toronto, they fired their coach on Friday. Dwane Casey let go after 6 years, and I was surprised at the vitriol this got. Like, I get it, and I'm a Dwane Casey guy. Like, I like Dwane Casey. I think he's a very, very good coach. Did he deserve better from Toronto? Yes. Was it his fault that they lost? No. But the level of vitriol and anger that this had, people were outraged. The NBA Twitter just blew up. Like, how could they do this? And I said it on Twitter. I was like, I've seen coaches fired for way less than this. I mean, this is a guy that, let's be honest, he's been there 6 years, and in 4 of those years, they've lost. What was it, in 3? I know for 3 for sure that they've lost to the fucking Cavs, and this is what, their 3rd time getting swept?
I believe so.
So it's like, I can't fault Masai Ujiri for making this move. I can't. Like, how do you fault him?
You can't be the number 1 seed and get swept.
And that's what I said. I was like, you cannot. This season was about, this season was this big ass crusade about, this is the year. This is the year. We have the ingredients to finally beat LeBron in the East. We got the ingredients to finally get to an NBA Finals. And you go out there and you basically get your manhood taken from you in a 4-game sweep. Now, I was talking to my brother about this. I was like, had they lost a tough, hard-fought 6-game series, nip and tuck, back and forth, bounce of the ball here, possession here, possession there, I think Dwane Casey's still the coach. But I think that when they lost the way that they lost, and I said it, I think it was last week's episode where a game like they lost and how they lost in game 2, like that's a fireable offense for me. Like to have that performance at home when you lost a heartbreaking game 2 and to have that flat of a performance in a game 2, like that's a fireable offense. So again, I don't understand this rage that NBA Twitter, the media, everybody had it last Friday and over the weekend with the Dwane Casey firing. I was like, and I like Dwane Casey, but I mean, it was time. 6 years they had.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not even a big believer that they just bring in another coach and all of a sudden all their problems are going to be solved. I don't think another coach is going to figure out how to make DeMar DeRozan a top 25 player. I don't think a coach is going to make sure that, is going to figure out how to make Kyle Lowry, have a spine. Like, I don't think they're going to figure out how to, make Jonas Valanciunas not be the 21st century's version of Charles Smith. Like, I don't think a new coach is going to figure all these things out. So I think they have to break it up. I don't think that's their intent. I think they're going to go at it because I think they're locked in with these guys. I mean, both these guys are making close to $30 million, which is crazy to think about. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole Dwane Casey firing?
Dwane Casey's a good coach, I think, for the most part. 7 years, and back-to-back second-round sweeps. It's bad enough that you are getting swept. Worse that you're getting swept in the second round. Even worse that it's the same team. But what's even more...
The same guy. The same guy. And again, there's no shame in losing to LeBron. It's just how they lost.
Yeah. It's the same way. 2 different years. Same fucking scenario in the second round. And this year, you're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. If you're the number 1 seed in any conference, your goal is conference finals. At least. That's your 50-meter target. To take it back to basic training. That is your 50-meter target. That is your ideal, easy goal that you need to make it to as a number 1 seed. As you're getting all these media accolades, as you're winning all these games in the regular season, it's to prepare yourself for playoff success. And as a coach, you make your money off of playoff success. He doesn't have it. It's not there. And I don't want to hear all these people saying, it's LeBron this, it's LeBron that, blah, 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 blah. If your team is paying Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Serge Ibaka, all these guys this type of money, you can't get swept in the second round, back-to-back season. You can't.
Can't happen.
Something needs to change. Yep. Something needs to change. And if it's Dwane Casey, if you're the coach, if you're the leader of an organization, you gotta go.
And and that's the thing.
You are responsible for the wins. You are responsible for the successes and the failures as your teams go as the head coach.
And that's the thing. The easiest person to get rid of is the coach. Everybody knows this. You guys have all watched sports. You guys know. Of course, who needs to go more, DeMar DeRozan or Dwane Casey? Obviously, DeMar DeRozan, but they're not you can't fire DeMar DeRozan. Everybody knows this. So what is this? And again, I've seen coaches get fired for far less. Far less. Joe Girardi got let go by the Yankees. He was 1 win away from getting to a World Series. A guy who's won a championship.
Yep. That's a perfect example.
So I'm supposed to feel sorry for Dwane Casey? And again, I like Dwane Casey. I think he's a very good coach. He deserved better. We all agree.
And some of the stuff that he said, after...
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I know what you're going to. I know where you're going. Yep.
You can't. You just can't chalk it up. You can't just sit there and have this milquetoast, maybe this year wasn't our year. No, nigga. It was not. Neither was last year.
That's not who we are. That's the comment that to this day still pisses me off.
You can't do that. If you gotta throw a player under the bus, throw that nigga under the bus. Ain't nobody gonna be mad at you. Hey, we didn't. Even if he said something simple as, we didn't execute. Hey, cool. We didn't execute.
Yeah.
But it wasn't our season, or it wasn't this. I have to find the exact quote, but it was just very.
We're just unlucky. We're playing LeBron. I mean, just this real defeatist, attitude, man.
We just didn't play well this season at the right time. Nigga, what?
Well, y'all niggas have made a habit of that shit.
Yeah, but when you're the top seed, that excuse, you can't use that excuse. You can't say that. You can't say that when you've been playing well all season.
Yeah. I mean, I was just in shock how much outrage there was, and I get it. I mean, I understand, especially 2 days after he wins the Coach of the Year. I get that.
I don't think you think that shit anyway.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother argument, but I mean, look, I get it. And again, we're both Dwane Casey guys. I want to reassess this. Like, we're both Dwane Casey guys. We like the guy as a coach.
Where do you think he ends up?
I think he sits out for a year. I think he sits out.
Take a year off.
Yeah, I think he'll take a year off. I think he'll probably do some TV work or something. And then I think he'll come back. And, I think he'll definitely get a job again. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. So I think he'll definitely get a job again. Where? Who knows? I can't even predict it. I mean, I would have said the Knicks could have, had the Knicks known the situation or had the luxury of looking ahead, they could have probably hired Dwane Casey to come in and be their coach instead of your doppelganger. But whatever.
I would have liked to see Dwane Casey coach the Suns, but they hired
that Spurs assistant, didn't they?
Yeah. Or no, he was a Jazz assistant.
Oh, yeah, the Jazz assistant. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think he sits out for a year, and then I think he gets his pick of the litter next offseason. And I'm sure I think
next offseason, I think we're going to see a couple of jobs open up. I wouldn't be surprised to see an Oklahoma City job.
That's you took the words. You took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, if it had an opening right now, I would say Oklahoma City would be a good place for him to go. But
He also, I think that Minnesota job's going to open up soon.
Really, Thibodeau? That.
I don't think that they like playing for that nigga. And I don't rate him that high as a head coach.
I love Thibodeau as a coach. I think for whatever reason, I don't think it's worked there for some reason. I don't know the fit has been as good as initially I thought. Because I thought when he got there, I was like, oh, that's perfect place for him to go, blah, blah, blah. And it just hasn't worked out for him. I don't know why, but I think he's a hell of a coach. And I love Tibbs, but it just hasn't worked out there. We'll see what they do next year. Here's another team. I mean, the team that just let their guy go. The Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, the Pistons, they need something. I mean, maybe I like the stability of character that Dwane Casey has. Mm-hmm. I think the Pistons need something like that.
Pistons need something, definitely.
What's up with the Bucks?
Yeah, you know what? Hey, yeah, the Bucks haven't hired a coach yet.
Hey, I mean, that might be a good look. I mean, hey, did you see Becky Hammond's getting an interview? Yeah. That's a good look.
Look, I don't know. I mean, I don't even want to get into the whole political aspect of this, whether a woman should or shouldn't. Whatever. She's qualified. I think if you're qualified, I think you can do any job, male or female.
I think there's more qualified assistant coaches right now, but I don't mind her getting an interview. Like if hey, maybe she sticks on, maybe she goes somewhere else with another coaching staff, or maybe she stays under Pop for another couple of years because she's like his third assistant or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So she's not high in the pecking order.
No, go ahead. My bad.
Oh no, I was just saying. I think that maybe she can stick around and feel it out. I know she coached their summer league team. Right. They did pretty well, which is fantastic. But yeah, just a little bit more seasoning, maybe. And see. But I don't think that she's a candidate right now. But I think it's pretty dope that she is getting quote unquote considered.
Yeah, it's very dope. And I think by all reports, she's a smart lady. She knows basketball. She had a great career, obviously, as a player. Everybody swears to her as a person. She's a good person. So I don't think she'll get one right now, but I think in the next couple years, I think she'll definitely, I think you will see Becky Hammon coaching the NBA eventually. Where? I don't know, but she will eventually. But yeah, I mean, I think the Bucks would be interesting for Dwane Casey. So, I mean, yeah, I think he'll definitely get another job. I think
we could throw
the Raptors are now talking about Budenholzer from Atlanta. But if I were him, why would I want to go to Toronto? To me, he'd be in the same situation he was with Atlanta a couple years ago. A good team, but you're not. Yeah, they have more talent, but I mean, it's not by much, really, is it?
I mean, I guess.
And this is the thing about the Barneys.
But who does Atlanta have? Fucking Dennis Schroeder?
Oh, well, I'm talking about when he was there that year that they won 60 games. They had Kyle Korver. They had, yeah. So that's what I was talking about. Not now, of course. Now they're just fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah, I got you.
But I mean, here's the one thing about the Barneys too. This was the best. This was your best shot. This was your year. Kyrie was hurt. We didn't know that the Celtics were going to become this. The Cavs obviously are the Cavs and have all their issues. The Sixers are young. Like, this was the year of all years that you could see the Toronto Barneys getting to a final. And it's only going to get more tougher because the Sixers are going to gain more experience, and who knows what they do in free agency. The Celtics now, with all this renewed confidence that they have from this playoff run, and now you're getting Kyrie and Gordon Hayward back. I mean, the Sixers and the Celtics are basically creating two juggernauts in the East. So, and then LeBron's still going to stay in the East one way, shape, or form, and he's not going anywhere. So I don't see the path getting any easier.
No, I mean, it's from one window to the other, and maybe I don't know, dog. I think he's a good coach. I think it's just a coach can only be as successful as the general manager of that team or the president of basketball operations allows them to be with the talent that they've had. And I don't think that this Raptors team is built for the playoffs.
Agreed.
I don't think that they're a built for the playoffs team. DeRozan is the type of player that when he just settles for jumpers when things get difficult and he tries to shoot himself out of problems. And Kyle Lowry is fucking Kyle Lowry.
DeRozan on a great team, on a truly great championship level team, is at best a third option.
I agree.
Maybe a two. But definitely a 3. And Kyle Lowry, if Kyle Lowry is your second best player, you have problems. Kyle Lowry on a championship team is your fifth option.
And Kyle Lowry is what, 33? I feel like we talked.
He's 32.
32. 32-year-old Kyle Lowry. Max contract 32-year-old Kyle Lowry.
Hey, look, don't even get me started on GMs and max contracts in the NBA, because that's a whole nother episode.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just... but you're right. The outrage over Dwane Casey, like, oh my God, how is this? How is that? But like, as a coach, there's a level of responsibility that you have to take. And it's just like you said, if DeMar DeRozan has a bad game, sure, DeMar DeRozan's going to get dragged in the media, but guess what? DeMar DeRozan's under contract. You can't get rid of him unless you get a decent return on your investment.
And who's taking DeMar DeRozan at $28 million? Who's taking that?
There you go. Exactly. You're not. You're getting pennies on the dollar at that stage. Because all the teams know you're selling. You want to sell low. And you can't sell low. Everyone knows the principles of economics here. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. So, I agree.
Maybe Dwane Casey could have foreseen, back-to-back years. Hey, maybe my fucking star guy doesn't have any balls when it hits crunch time or when they play the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to adjust my game plan.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
But, maybe he'll go chill, be, an in-studio analyst for a year or so, wait for that OKC job to pop up, But I think most of the coaching jobs are going to close up. The only jobs that I can see that aren't open right now that may open up, the Thunder job, maybe the Kings. There's not a lot of money that you could pay me to move to Sacramento Sorry, Sacramento Livers, if you're there. Being coached the fucking Kings.
Yeah.
That is a dumpster fire of an organization. And I'm glad we have one of their lottery picks. If I can just throw that in there.
Yeah, fucking Kings, man. Yeah, the Kings are just... Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think he sits out for a year, and then I think he sees the market next year. But yeah, let's move on to the Western Conference Final that we all predicted in October. Warriors and the Rockets, and this is obviously the much hyped of the two series. 65 win Rockets with the presumptive MVP James Harden, and obviously you got the Warriors and everything that they bring. I'm gonna go out there and put it out on a limb. I've been very critical of this Rockets organization and this Rockets team over the last couple of years. I've been very critical of Chris Paul. I've been very critical of James Harden, Mike D'Antoni, the whole nine. It's put up or shut up time now. Okay, I don't want to hear about, this is our year. We're built to win the war. We're built to beat the Warriors. Yada yada, dee da 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 da. You know what? Put up or shut up. Get it done. I don't want to hear about this, that. Now it's the time. The floor is yours. Get it done. And this is and I will say this. I'm not going to sit there and say that this is a championship or bust year for the Rockets, but I will say that this is at least it's hard to put it in words, but a testing the Warriors or bust year for the Rockets. And what I mean by that is, if they go out there and they get skull drugged in 5 games, this year was a failure. No doubt about it. It's the same way. It's the same way you would look at it. Look, if they lose a tough, classic 7-game series, it's hard to kill them. I don't think anybody's going to really kill the Rockets if they lose a hard-fought 7-game series, even a 6-game series that just comes down to a couple possessions, a couple turnovers here and there. Like, I don't think anybody would kill them. But if they lose 5, or even, God forbid, a 4-game sweep, this year was an absolute abject failure. No doubt about it. And again, I know I've been getting killed by Rocket fans. I actually know a couple Rocket fans. I know, crazy as it sounds. I know a couple Rocket fans, and they've killed me all year because they think I'm hating on the Rockets and this, that, and the other. And again, I know all the accolades. I know the 65 wins. I know James Harden. Again, we will find out about the Rockets. This is when we'll find out about the Rockets. Fourth quarter, down by 3, late in the game, let's say series tied at 2-2, and they can make a championship stop. James Harden can make a championship play to either win the game or assist on a winning bat, whatever. And Mike D'Antoni can coach in a big spot. That's when we'll find out about the Rockets. Anything else, I don't care. I don't care about 65 wins. I don't care about efficiency ratings and, all the little analytical shit that you want to throw at me. I don't care. That's when we'll find out about the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the way that the Rockets play basketball, mainly James Harden. And the thing is that what we're going to see with this series is very similar to what we were talking about with the Celtics and their ability to play quote-unquote positionless basketball, but they're able to switch on screens, force double teams, things like that. It's going to be interesting to see how or if James Harden is going to get these types of calls where he just runs to the basket and jumps into you and
it's a foul, yeah. Or with his elbow, basically fucking...
Or traps your arm while he's literally taking 4 steps to the basket.
Dog, that shit is the most infuriating shit. Like, I swear to God, like, I can't watch it. I hate watching it because it's just, like, what do you want? Like, Dante Exum nearly got his fucking head taken off and they called the foul on fucking Dante Exum. Like, how? Yeah. On what planet?
Yeah. It's the same thing. But the thing is that, to a certain extent, the game does change a little bit in the playoffs. And also, the Warriors get a lot of favorable calls, especially on their screen game and things like that. So I think it's going to, I think the refs are going to kind of just hopefully let it chill out a little bit. And just kind of let them fucking play basketball. And that's honestly for both series, really. I just hope the refs let these niggas play basketball. I don't want to see any of that funky ass officiating that I saw in the Sixers series. It was terrible, bro.
Or in the Cavs Pacers series.
Oh my god!
Don't even get me there. Don't get me there.
I hate, and it's like we were talking about
the Miles Turner foul out call in Game 7, which one of the worst calls I've ever seen in the NBA, and I've seen a lot. That was top 3, one of the worst calls I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think that this series comes down to? Obviously we've given our kind of non-basketball reasons why our takes on this series, but I think this series comes down to Chris Paul. I really do. I think Chris Paul's the X factor in the series. I think if he plays, I think Harden's going to do what Harden does. I think if Chris Paul has a big time, the problem the Rockets have is those two guys never play well together. Like, you notice that. Like, one will have a big game, the other will have a so-so game. The other will have a big game. They don't play consistently well together. And I think it's because they both need the ball. Yeah, they both
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know we talked a lot of shit at the beginning of the season, like, the Rockets, we don't think the Rockets are going to be very good because they both need the ball in their hands. And, we were wrong to an extent. But I think that's still the fatal flaw in how their game goes. I don't think that they both can have a dominant game. And I think the X factor in this game is going to be how well Clint Capella can control the board.
Yeah, true. He's the other X factor too. Although I don't see him as a big X factor because I think the Warriors will be smart. I think they'll do the same thing they did with Davis. Because I think, what was a big thing going into last series, or, how the Warriors are going to be able to stop Anthony Davis. And I think they just were physical with him. And I think they're going to be physical with Capella. I think they're going to draw him away from the basket. He won't be able to get those tip-ins that he was normally.
They're going to run a lot of small ball, I think, and really isolate him out into the corner. They're going to probably scheme around him. And I think that's where we're going to really see coaching come into to stay. But ultimately, I think it's going to be the Warriors in 6.
Shit, you're more dog. You're more favorable than I am. I think I don't want to say sweep because I think it's hard to say sweep in any series really, unless it's just a juggernaut versus a fucking peon. That being said, I know I'm gonna get flamed for this, especially now. Watch the Rockets, win in fucking 4, or watch the Rockets win in 7. I say Warriors in 4.
Wow.
I'm going out on a limb. I know. Hey, and I've never been afraid to take criticism. So who fucking cares, right? But hey, Warriors. I think this series is going to be the disappointment. I think everybody's expecting this series to be an all-time classic, and I think they're going to be let down. I just think this. I think the Warriors are playing well at the right time. I think the Warriors have heard all year. Yeah, and I think the Warriors are going to be motivated. I think they've heard all year that, maybe this is not their year. Yada yada, dee. Oh, look at the Rockets. James Harden winning an MVP. I think it's going to be a 4-game sweep, bro. I really believe it. I think Durant's going to go off in this series because I don't think Ariza can guard him. I don't think PJ. I know everybody gives me, everybody throws bouquets at PJ Tucker, but I don't think PJ Tucker's stopping Kevin Durant. So maybe 5. I can see 6 if the Warriors would just fuck around and lose a couple games here and there. But I just don't think this team can beat the Warriors. I think it's a matchup thing. I don't think this team can beat the Warriors. They want to play the same way. They want to be Warriors light. And I don't think you beat the Warriors by being Warriors light.
They're Warriors light without the defensive acumen.
Exactly. And the thing that people don't realize is the Warriors have 4 guys that can beat you. 4. Like, on a night that Steph is off, obviously Durant can go off. On a night Durant is off, Steph can go off. On a night that Steph and Durant are off, Klay Thompson can have fucking 35 points in a quarter. The night that all three of them niggas is off, Draymond can go off.
Klay Thompson will heat up faster than anybody else.
Yeah. He will heat. Now, he will cool off as well like a motherfucker too, but he will heat up. I think he's the X factor. I think he's the X factor in this next series.
Bro, didn't he drop like 35 and a quarter a couple years ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Insane, yeah. But I think he's the X factor in this series.
You think so?
I do.
I was thinking more Draymond.
I think Draymond's gonna do what he does. I think the Warriors are unbeatable when Klay Thompson plays well. Like, when he plays well, they're unbeatable. Because you know what he's gonna give you defensively. I think he's gonna do a good job and I don't think they'll have him on Harden the entire game. I think they'll switch off between Harden and Paul. But I think he's going to have to play well in this series. I don't think he's going to have to score 25 points a game. Obviously, they don't need him to do that per se, but I think he has to have an impact. And I think he's the X factor for the Warriors. If the Warriors get into a tough series, I think he's the X factor for them.
I think the Warriors can play a half-court game if the game slows down. I don't trust the Rockets to be able to consistently play a half-court game.
I don't trust them either, no. Yeah, I don't trust that either.
Even with Chris Paul running the show. Chris Paul's arguably one of the greatest point guards of all time, probably one of the greatest of the generation, even though he's a bitch.
Chris Paul.
I don't know, dog. I say 5 because with the officiating, I think Harden's going to have himself a game. Ain't this Chris Paul's first conference finals?
Yeah, I've never seen a guy get celebrated more for getting to a conference final than I did Chris Paul. Really? Really? This is what we're doing now? We're celebrating conference finals appearances?
Remember when they celebrated T-Mac getting out of the first round?
He never got out of the first round. His team did. He was, well, yeah. But does that really count?
He didn't do shit, but
does that really count? He was the 13th man on the bench.
Bro, I'm sad T-Mac got fucked up. That was my guy.
I hated T-Mac. I thought he was James Harden before James Harden.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'll go out there and say it. Fuck it. I'm wildin'. Anyway, Mister, I'm so happy to be in the second round, and then he loses a 3-1 series. But hey,
listen, I'm not talking about his team. T-Mac played on some terrible teams.
I don't want to hear that. The Rockets were a terrible team.
I'll give you that one.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, motherfucker. You definitely you got to give me that one. Okay, the Magic weren't great shakes, but yeah, I get that. But the Rockets had some good teams. They weren't behemoths, but they were good teams.
I don't think they were conference finals.
Hey, but if you're T-Mac and you're all world and you're basketball Hall of Fame worthy, get your team to the second round at least.
I think by that time, even though what was it, 2006, 7, 8, something like that?
He lost 2 straight years to the Jazz, that good Jazz team with Boozer and Darren Williams before he fucking basically went missing.
That nigga got washed up fast.
I don't know what the fuck happened to that nigga, but yeah.
That clip. He used to cook Chris Paul too.
I mean, remember when there was actually a debate between Darren Williams and Chris Paul? That was actually a thing.
I was a Darren Williams,
and I was a Chris Paul guy, but I respected the hell out of Darren Williams.
I think he stopped giving a fuck.
I think, hey man, he got that max deal and just
fuck it. I'm Popeyes all day.
Fuck it. Fuck it, my nigga. But yeah, man. Anyway. I think it's going to be an interesting conference finals. I mean, again, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm going out on a limb, and I know people are going to flame me. Oh, how the fuck are you picked? And now watch the Rockets win tonight by 45, and I look stupid, but whatever. But yeah.
It would be the first time.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, I don't think this team could beat the Warriors, man. Just to wrap it up, I don't think this team could beat the Warriors. They can challenge the Warriors. I think they can make the Warriors sweat a little bit just because they do have offensive firepower. But I think the Warriors love this shit. I think the Warriors are like, oh, okay, you're gonna beat us scoring 130. Okay, watch this. We'll put up 150. I don't think the Warriors. Yeah. And I think and you could tell by Draymond's press conference that I think they're tired of hearing about the Rockets. I think they're tired of hearing about, oh, this is the Rockets team. This team's going to beat you guys. This team's got what it takes, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I just think they're going to be motivated. As if they need any more motivation, obviously, to win a second straight championship in 3 and 4 years. But, but that's why they play the games, folks.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they play the motherfucking games, of course.
You play to win the game.
Shout out to my nigga Herm.
Yep.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to!
Fouls of the week. Go first, man.
Alright, so it's a massive foul that I got, right? And it's a foul in such a way that I can big up something else in typical me fashion. I am fouling the shit out of the English Premier League except for the champions, Manchester City. Let me tell you why. So I'm a huge Manchester City fan. So I have to foul the rest of the league for allowing the following things to happen. Manchester City scored 100 points. The first time that's ever happened in the league. Ever. And this is a league that's been around for over 100 years. Right? City has also scored the most goals. The record was 103. We scored 106. Most total wins. They won 32 games in the Premier League. They broke the record of 30. And the biggest winning margin in league history. They were 19 points ahead of the second place team. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, no points for a loss. For those keeping score at home. Let's see, what else? The most excessive wins with 18. They won 18 straight games before they lost. Most away wins, most opponent beatings, most possession time. There was a game that they had 82% of possession in a game. That's insane. They had the earliest title win because they go by points. They wrapped this shit up like last month. So with all of those records, big ups to Manchester City, and I'm found the rest of the Premier League for y'all all consistently get shitted on by one team from August to the season just ended yesterday, but City had the title wrapped up like basically since March. So yeah. Hold this foul, Premier League. I hope y'all get better next year. Y'all won't because we're just the shit. We have the best coach in Europe. We got some of the best young players coming through. We got some of the best players in football right now. And yeah, y'all can try. And if you come for the king, you best not miss, as a wise man once said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just waking up. My bad, man.
That's all right. Listen.
I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you, man. Nah,
you know. You're a little less cultured than me, but just step outside your comfort zone. You might enjoy yourself.
I like soccer. I will admit I'm not the biggest soccer aficionado. I like it. I pay attention to it when it comes to the World Cup time. But other than World Cup, other than that, it's like the Premier League. I mean, I've tried to get into it. I don't know. It's hit or miss for me. So, I mean, I watch it. I watch the game. I know what's going on. I mean, I'm no expert, but I mean, World Cup is fun because you get the nations involved and it's politics and all that other shit involved in it. Kind of like the Olympics, but Premier League. I can't say that I'm watching too much Premier League, but hey, dog, this is what's beautiful, nigga. We two cultured niggas. You just cultured in some other shit, and I'm cultured in other shit too. So hey, man, that's what we do. I watch hockey, you don't, and you watch Premier League. So hey, that's what makes us.
That's what we got. Change podcast.
Two cultured niggas. Hey, that might sound like a good name, but anyway, yeah, we still taking suggestions, by the way. So if you guys got suggestions for the new podcast name, email us at thetfpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah,
who we fouling this week?
Fouls of the week go first of all, Shaq, and then second, just this. Since when did Charles Barkley become a scrub? or this dude that doesn't have a right, or this dude that has no right to talk about championships or great players or how things are done in the NBA. You guys know about the whole, I wouldn't say beef, because it was a one-time thing between them. They get into heated arguments. And I don't ever think it's like malicious between them. I just think it's how me and you get into arguments sometimes, and sometimes it can get, loud and whatever. But I just had I have a real problem with the,
Shaq got way too personal.
Yeah, Shaq came off like a female in the argument for me. And that's why he's getting this foul. Because first of all, they're both making valid points. I happen to agree more with Shaq than I do with Chuck, but I can see where Chuck is going. I think Chuck was making a valid point that you have to repair your relationship with your best player. He was basically saying that if Dwane Casey is going to continue as the coach of the Raptors, sorry, did it again, the Barneys, him and DeMar DeRozan are going to have to talk. They're going to have to repair. Now, he probably could have used a better term as far as repair, because DeMar DeRozan himself has said that he had no problem with what Casey did. He played like shit. Dwane Casey had every right to do it. And I respect DeMar DeRozan for that. But I think Chuck was making an overall valid, respectable point. Shaq, on the other hand, had a great point, but he fucked it up with you've never won championships. Now, since when did we get this notion that Charles Barkley has no right to talk about championships or championship teams? First of all, Charles Barkley is one of the top 25 players in the history of the NBA. History of the NBA. So let's establish that right there. Second, the guy got to an NBA Finals, lost to Jordan on a Paxson shot. Had played on some very good teams that, just got unlucky, lost to that Rockets team that was also a mini dynasty in the 90s. It's not like Charles Barkley played on some scrub teams, never sniffed the finals. He was just unlucky like a lot of dudes. So does that mean that Charles Barkley can't talk about what it takes to win a championship because, he never won? So this notion that Charles Barkley can't talk about championships or can't talk about teams winning or what it takes to win or whatever is so bullshit.
A coach-player relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And which is complete and utter bullshit and garbage. And then the NBA Twitter just, Shaq was right. Oh yeah, Shaq flamed Chuck. No, he didn't. Shaq came off like a loser and like a little bitch in the argument. Oh, look at my rings. Look at my rings. Google me. Who the fuck? Shaq, you're bigger than that. Literally and figuratively, you're bigger than that. You're Shaquille O'Neal. First of all, nobody has to Google you. We all know you're one of the top 10, 15 players to ever play the game. Nobody's going to question your greatness and the fact that you know what it takes to win a championship. But this idea that Charles Barkley doesn't is preposterous. Yes, he didn't win a championship, but Charles Barkley was a championship player in every sense of the word. So that's my foul of the week. To NBA Twitter, to the people that actually thought Shaq was right in this fucking argument. No, he sounded corny as fuck for that. That was just so corny to me. Dude, first of all, he's making a valid point. You don't agree with it, that's fine. But this idea that Chuck can't talk about a championship because he never won it is stupid.
I 1,000% agree. And I just want to add that, every time that Shaq and Chuck get into it, Shaq always acts like he has to get the last word, or he acts like he has to be right about everything. And it's bro, calm down, man. And
he can't be upstaged. He can't be upstaged.
No,
he can't be, yeah.
He always has to have the last word. He always has to one up. It always has to be, I did this. They're not even talking about that. Chuck was making a point about the relationship between a player and a coach. And Shaq just took it to an area that it never needed to go to begin with. He didn't even let Chuck finish. And Chuck was being cool about it at first. He was like, let me finish. And Shaq that shows a lack of respect for your colleague. Even when me and you were having disagreements, and vice versa, we'll let each other finish before we go. Maybe we'll say something and interject, but I would never come at you sideways and say, blah, 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 and that's why you don't have this and that and the third and da-da-da-da-da-da. I would at least let you get your point across before I try to counterpoint that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought that it was a bad look for the show in general, for them two to be big, for Shaq really, because Chuck was like, why you gotta go there? That had nothing to do with anything. And he was 100% right. I just hate how Shaq always has to have the last word. Always has to be right. It's just, bro, you're Shaq. Just like you said, you're Shaq. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Shaq.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And another minor foul to ABC. They canceled one of my favorite shows, Designated Survivor. I'm heartbroken all weekend.
Canceled that joint?
They canceled it, dog. They canceled it. Like, I couldn't believe that shit. After 2 seasons, bruh. Like, I'll admit the second season wasn't as good as the first season, but I mean, it was still
like it's like a 1 season type of show.
It probably was, but I mean, no, it could have went out there. But I mean, this season wasn't as good as the first season, but it was still pretty decent. It still deserved. Look, it had, the way I see it, it had one really good season, great season, one so-so season. It at least deserved a third season. That's just me, but another minor foul for ABC Network for that cancellation, man. I was heartbroken by that. I was like, man, you're gonna cancel my favorite show? Like, really? Seriously? Like, my favorite show? It's amazing.
Fox canceled Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Well, yeah, they they canceled Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know.
They got picked up the next day. That's crazy.
Yeah, they got picked up by NBC. I'm hoping that Designated Survivor gets picked up by, because again, it was still getting pretty decent ratings. I mean, the ratings, I think they were getting like 6 or 7 million viewers, last season, and now it's down to like 2 million or 2.5, like 3 or so million. So it was a steep decline, but I think it was still getting pretty decent ratings. I mean, I hope another network picks it up. I mean, shit, I hope CBS or NBC picks it up. Hell, Fox. They're going to need the programming, so I hope Fox.
Have you watched Atlanta yet?
Nah, I haven't watched Atlanta, man. I've been meaning to.
Atlanta's probably the best show on TV. They just had the season finale. Well, I hope it's not the series finale.
Well, I'm waiting for like, you know, the network shows that I watch to finish. They're all ending this week. So once that ends and all of them go on hiatus for the summer, or maybe for good, and some obviously Designated Survivor. You know,
it's an easy watch.
Then I'll get a chance to kind of catch up on some shows. Like, definitely Atlanta's like on the top of my list to catch up on. I've also I've heard good things about Westworld. I just have never seen it before.
Westworld is fire.
I
gotta watch season 2. I'm waiting because we canceled our HBO a while back. But I think we're gonna probably get it back soon so we can watch Westworld. We watched season 1, and dog, Westworld's easily one of the best TV shows I've watched. Like, that's up there with like Breaking Bad and The Wire for me. The way that this show is written, bro, the shit is insane.
Well, it's on my list. So definitely Westworld and Atlanta are on my list to catch up on this summer. So those are my shows. I'm still finishing Dear White People. I'm on episode 7. It's 10 episodes. So have you watched Dear White People?
Nah, somebody else told me I need to watch that joint too.
It's good. I was a little skeptical about it when I first started it last year, but it's good. It's a really good show. I like the writing on it. It's smartly written. It's a good show. I like it. So I think you should.
I got some stuff I gotta finish.
Well, nigga, you still gotta watch. Don't think I forgot, nigga. You still gotta watch Stranger Things.
I'm gonna get to it when I get to it. I don't know, dog. Like, it just doesn't appeal to me, man.
We're not even gonna get into this.
The way you feel about Game of Thrones, that's how I feel about Stranger Things.
Yeah, okay. I respect it. I feel you.
It just doesn't do it for me.
Because I just...
Amazon got some heat.
Yeah, I know Amazon got some good shows.
I was going through there yesterday. We was trying to find something to do because Michelle was watching... they have Sex in the City on there, so she was watching it, and I was watching something on my laptop or whatever. But they got a lot of heat on there. Like, a lot of the old HBO shows, like, they got, like, The Sopranos, they got, like, Deadwood. I'm about to start watching Deadwood as soon as
one of my homies has Amazon. Yeah, one of my homies has Amazon, and they swear by it, so, yeah.
Yeah, they got some heat on there. They got some good original content from what I hear. I just haven't really peeped it yet, but I'll probably be doing a little bit of that this summer. But I'm trying to finish up watching Justified because I realized, like, I used to watch that show heavy when it was on TV, and I never finished it. So I think I have like 2 seasons to go before it's done. So I'm trying to finish that up, and then let's see what else I want to pick up next. Because usually I watch like 2 shows at a time or something like that.
Yeah.
I like binge watch stuff while I'm like, because sometimes, like, say I'm like folding laundry, I'll bring my laptop into the guest room, and I'll just pop my laptop.
That's the best time to watch a show, bro. When you're folding laundry, that's the best time to watch a show. Then.
Yep. Because you don't gotta pay too much attention to what you're doing. Yep. You watch a show, you can still get shit done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Another old nigga report to end the show.
I know, right? We the Old Nigga Report. That's the name of our new podcast, the Old Nigga Report.
Hey, that might work.
All right, man, but we're going to get up out of here.
I see any of y'all white folks calling it that. We're going to have some problems.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Yeah, it's not going to work for our white friends, our white listeners. We love y'all, especially when y'all listen to us. We love y'all.
We do. Can't say. Sorry.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, that's a good place to stop.
Oh, shit. Yeah, man, we're going to get up out of here, man. NBA heavy show this week. Yeah, it's not much going on in the sports world besides the NBA, really.
Hockey playoffs before we go?
I haven't really, since the Rangers haven't been in it. I've paid attention. I focused a lot on that Winnipeg-Nashville series, and that was a really good series. It looks like Winnipeg is going to get to a final against maybe the Capitals. We'll see.
I saw a little bit of the Capitals. I was watching when the Bruins were playing. Michelle's a big hockey fan. She actually used to play hockey in high school and stuff. So she always watches the Bruins and stuff, and they got smacked. And now it looks like Tampa Bay's getting smacked. So I'm like, damn.
I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for the Bruins getting smacked.
Pseudo root for hockey is the Lightning. So
no, fuck the Lightning, and fuck the Bruins too. I don't. Their agony just delights me. So yeah, whatever. But yeah, man, we're gonna get up out of here. NBA heavy show, like I said. Not much going on in the sports world. Baseball is what it is right now. It's just in there. So 162 games. We'll definitely get to baseball when something definitely predicates us getting to it. Yeah, nothing going on in the NFL. It's kind of going in the clouds now again until at least late June, July, when training camps open up. So yeah, man, NBA heavy show. Really the biggest, most NBA heavy show we've had all year. So yeah. It's really NBA heavy show, but yeah, man, good show as a whole, always. Like I always say, man, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show, man. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I know it's sappy. I know it's cliche, but it's real. We appreciate every person that listens, man. Swear to God. Scout's honor. We appreciate every single person that downloads, that subscribes, that listens, whether you listen for 5 minutes, whether you listen to the whole show, whether you listen to the day it drops, whether you listen to it, a few days, a week or so later. We appreciate every person that listens, man, for real. And keep listening and keep supporting us, man. We truly appreciate it. We got some new reviews over the last couple of weeks. We appreciate that as well. Glad to know that a lot of people are feeling the show and loving the show. And like I always say, if you like what you're listening to, go on iTunes and drop those reviews. Is what we need. It's what makes the show more popular, more searchable, in the iTunes directory. So yeah, man, appreciate the love and the support we're getting from all the fans, man. So truly appreciate it.
Definitely.
And you guys know where to find the show. We're available everywhere: iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere where you can find podcasts for free. We're there. Check us out. Follow me on social media. On Twitter, I am at the Manuel Brown. On Instagram, at the Manuel Brown. Snapchat, MannyBro15. And also follow us, the show page on Twitter, at the TF Podcast 1, and on Instagram, at the TF Podcast. So, Jut, got any words for the listeners before we go?
Yeah, other than the thanks, if y'all want to follow me on social media, at Jujitsu, JUTTJITSU, that's everywhere, Instagram, fucking Snapchat, Twitter, all of that. Don't forget to hop on Facebook, follow our page, TF Nation.
Yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
Nation. Go ahead and follow us there, lots of discussions, lots of memes, definitely, talk about the episodes in there. If you agree with something me and Manny said, if you want to call one of us out, talk about it. Let's get some discussion threads popping off on there about what you guys like about the show, what you don't like. There's some points, something funny happened, whatever. Let's get it talking. Piggyback off of something that we said in there. We need you guys as much as anything else, so we can drive some more traffic there, and to make this sports community, this pop culture community, that much bigger and that much better. So you guys are really our worker bees here. We're just here for y'all.
Word. Yeah, I forgot to mention. So
I got you.
Yeah, good looks. Yeah. The Technical Foul Podcast on Facebook, and then of course TFP Nation, like I always say, like my boy said. So yeah, man, just keep listening, keep subscribing. We are working on some guests too. We're not done having guests too. We're all working on having some guests. Definitely by the time the finals comes around, we'll have an NBA expert to break down the finals, and then of course when training camp starts and preseason starts, we'll have a guest on that time. When college football gets ready to open up, we'll have a guest on that. So we're saving the guests for important times when we have some guests, and I'll probably drop some special episodes too when when there's a special guest that I want to talk to, interview, kind of a more one-on-one setting. So we got a lot of things planned, man. And of course we got the name change, the rebranding. So if you guys have ideas for those, hit us up on social media as well, DTFP Nation. Email us at thetfpodcast@gmail.com. Everywhere, man. So let us know, man. You guys are listening. You guys are our listeners, so we care what you guys think. So yeah, let us know if you guys have any name ideas for the new show. Let us know. But yeah, with that said, we are out of here. We decided to record on a Monday today since yesterday was Mother's Day. But we will be back on Sunday next week. Please enjoy y'all week. Have a happy, healthy, safe, blessed week. We'll catch y'all with a new episode next week. So for my co-host Jut, I am Manny Fresh. We are out. Peace.
Serious.